As a small business owner, sometimes it feels like no matter how much planning you do, there's always surprises, like an urgent, expensive repair. But here's a surprise you will like. With Progressive, small business owners save 13% on their commercial auto insurance when they pay in full. So enjoy a surprise for once. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Support for this podcast comes from Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Did you know riders who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $200 per year? That's a whole new pair of riding gloves and more. Quote today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $197 by new customers surveyed who save with Progressive between October 2024 and September 2025. Potential savings will vary.
In the week following Missy Bevers' murder at Creekside Church, the rumor mill was churning so fiercely, it was hard to keep up with what was a legitimate lead and what was just a wild conspiracy theory. The latest to be trapped in the gossip merry-go-round was Courtney Tucker, the wife of Missy's fellow Camp Gladiator instructor, AJ Tucker. They found themselves in the path of internet sleuths looking for a perp when the Midlothian Police Department released what is commonly referred to in the Facebook groups as a target list. It was a search warrant that circulated online that included a list of people who were going to have their cell phone data searched by police. Once the list came out, rumors started flying that AJ and Missy were having an affair, and Courtney must have killed Missy in a fit of jealousy. Crystal and Renee from the True Crime Broads podcast have been dedicated to finding Missy's killer for years. Here's Crystal.
I would say Courtney Tucker is still part of the rumor mill. I mean, it's compelling, but you have to make a lot of assumptions. I can't make a scenario work where that works.
I'm not on the Courtney Tucker train either. To me, her name was on the target list, her husband and Missy knew each other, and everything else is hearsay. But that's the problem with this case. With how little the police communicate to the public, a lot of the online fodder is hearsay. And especially in those early days, the first week after Missy was murdered. There was so little certainty. No knowledge of how she died, the gender of her murderer, was she targeted, was this a burglary? There was a lot of room to fill in the gaps in your brain. That is until April 27th, 2016, just 11 days after Missy's death.
I wanted to make sure that we get over here and put this fire out pretty quick. Because
this is some flames going on here, so let's put it out.
That's Brandon and Randy Bevers you're hearing, speaking at a press conference they held after the Midlothian Police Department released a search warrant to seize a piece of Randy's property.
This is such a non-issue that we wanted to address it fast.
Randy Bevers takes this bloody shirt of his wife's and goes to the local dry clean supercenter in Midlothian. My name's Randy Bevers. Here's a bloody shirt. And thank you, and I'll pick it up later.
That's Crystal from the True Crime Broads podcast.
Well, the lady working there, obviously, the only thing anyone's talking about is the Missy Bevers murder, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got a Bevers, same spelling, coming in here with a shirt with blood all over it. She calls the police.
This was the first piece of anything that people could undoubtedly tie back to someone. Randy was now #1 suspect in the eyes of public opinion. The t-shirt, paired with the fact that he was a family member, which is a comfortable narrative that everyone was trying to run with anyway, solidified that. Plus, suspicion had been on Brandon from the start, and Randy was Brandon's father. This felt like those suspicions being confirmed to those following the case. And I don't blame them. I'm not advocating for public accusations with no clear evidence, but I've covered many true crime stories, and oftentimes, we're quick to assume the murderer was a loved one. And many times, we're right. But once Randy was brought in for questioning, he had an explanation.
They arrived because they got the horrible news that Missy was killed.
Randy and his wife, Vicky, Brandon's stepmom, were staying with Brandon's sister, Christy, after the murder.
So they caught a flight to DFW. And so they were going to stay at Christy's house. That's Brandon's sister. That's Randy's daughter. Mm-hmm. And Christy has 2 dogs. And they've never been a problem before.
According to the Bevers, one of Christy's dogs attacked Vicky's beloved Chihuahua, Kylo. In the process of breaking up the fight and getting Kylo to the vet, both Randy and Vicky's shirts were splattered with blood. And the press conference revealed another line of suspicion against Randy.
Then at the end, when the press conference was over, the camera stayed on them. And they show Randy walking into the police station to go back inside, and he kind of waddles like the perpetrator does.
From Free Range Productions, this is The Unforgotten. Season 6, Who Killed Missy Bevers? I'm Zoe Colkin. Episode 3, Bad News Bevers. At the press conference following the bloody t-shirt incident, local journalists were eager to speak to both Randy and Brandon. After all, they didn't get many opportunities to do so.
And I thought that they warned you guys that some of this was going to come out.
That's right. That's right. So here we are.
Yeah, they warned my father that the search warrant was issued and to be expecting news media and speculation when that comes out.
As I've explained in previous episodes, Brandon is famous for having a flip-floppy relationship with social media and the press. He often says one thing and does another. Says he doesn't want anything to do with internet sleuths, but then posts on Reddit. Says he won't be speaking with any members of the press, then holds a press conference.
We chose to drove up here and talk to you guys
Up here and get in front of
because
you guys and put the fire out.
we don't want to spend 24 hours of no statement and allow people to go ballistic.
The focus should be on who is this killer.
Correct.
On the day the search warrant for Randy's t-shirt was made public, Brandon acted quickly and called for this press conference. He did not want his father's name dragged through the mud and wanted him to have an opportunity to explain the situation and quiet any speculation. Which is exactly what the reporters who he first talked to, the morning he arrived back to Midlothian after finding out Missy was killed, had told him to do then. He was nervous about his words being twisted, but they explained that being open might make the public feel a little bit more at ease. And it could lead to finding some answers.
You understand, sir, that we are here because we want to help the police catch whoever did this as well.
Yes.
Maybe it was their voice in his head. Or maybe he felt like he could handle the speculation, but he didn't want his dad to go through it.
Okay, first of all, what happened? Did you in fact drop off some bloody clothes?
Okay, here's the deal. My wife has a small Chihuahua. Okay, she's had for 13 years. It's her baby. Okay, it's just like a child to us. Yeah, we've been staying over at a relative's house. Okay, we've been over to his house until late at night. You know, the relatives got 2 dogs. The Chihuahua and the big dog got into a fight. The big dog had the Chihuahua around the throat. Okay, and when I got the big dog off of it, the Chihuahua was laying on the ground bleeding.
When I talked with Crystal about this incident, I couldn't get over how crazy it was that he decided to bring 2 t-shirts to the dry cleaner. Me personally, it would have to be something really nice or really sensitive to take something into the dry cleaner. If 2 t-shirts just got ruined, I'd probably just toss them. If the t-shirts were covered in blood and my daughter-in-law was just murdered in cold blood a few days ago, I think I'd definitely toss them.
You would
But
think
most-
you would just
there's-
let that shirt go. But, I mean,
And that's something we haven't been able to figure out too, is like, if I had blood all over a shirt,
I'm throwing it
I
away.
I would either throw it away, or if I really loved the shirt, I would get a bunch of spray and wash and see what I could do. But just taking
Yeah.
it to a cleaner seemed like an odd move.
The reporters at the press conference had the same question.
Did you not think it's suspicious to go to the dry cleaners with the bloody shirt? Why not tell the police, hey, I'm
It's a non-issue. It's a non-issue. It's a matter of trying to save a dog's life, okay? And it's bleeding, okay? You take it to the veterinarian to try to save its life. It didn't make it. You know, you got blood on it, and you take it. I mean, there shouldn't be anything forethought about trying to take care of that.
Again, a reporter presses, trying to get it into Randy's brain just how bizarre of a choice that was. It's almost too thoughtless to comprehend.
You at no point felt that would look suspicious.
What?
Taking a blood-stained shirt.
Not
to
at
the dry
all.
cleaner. Not at all. Why not? After everything that has happened, the fact
It's like I told you, I don't think, if I'd have thought it was suspicious, I wouldn't have done that. But, this is just a normal thing. I believe anybody around here would probably done something like that. Only a person that was trying to hide something would not have done something like that.
Brandon steps in to his dad's defense and defends the staff member who called in the tip, too.
Dad took the shirt to the cleaners and asked if they could remove the bloodstains. My wife in the past had done business at that same dry cleaners. So when he gave her his name, she knew that there was a relationship there and called the police. The point that I need to make, since we're live now, is that the diligence on behalf of that person to make that kind of connection and to call the police is exactly what we need.
Then the line of questioning shifted to Brandon.
You were out of town when this happened.
Yes, I was.
Did you have to be ordered to cooperate?
Oh, yeah. I've already given trust me, the police have plenty.
Police have all that information.
They have all of that information. They have everything. They have my flight tickets, the rental car that we rented in Gulfport, Mississippi. Matter of fact, when I pulled into my driveway Monday at 3 p.m., I was in a car with Mississippi plates on it. I mean, all of that's non-issue.
Even though this press conference was about Randy, the press took it as a rare opportunity to squeeze as much out of Brandon as possible.
Are you confident that everything is being done that can be done to find Roy still?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have police at any time indicated you were a suspect?
No. Well, I mean, I'm part of the process, okay? I'm part of the process of elimination. They start from within and they work their way out. You can't imagine some of the investigative work they're doing. I mean, they are reaching out far and wide. They've casted a huge net on this deal. And to be quite honest with you, I'm really impressed with how in-depth they've been.
Very vigilant.
Both Brandon and Randy expressed that they have no animosity over what seems to be a huge misunderstanding. In fact, it gave Brandon comfort that everyone in the community was looking for clues as to who killed his wife, and the police were taking it seriously.
I was, told in advance this would happen, so here we are, okay? So they're on top of it. They've got every avenue that's available to them to, they've got their wings spread wide looking at everything. So,
but the thing is, the fact that the person at the dry cleaner had the wherewithal to call the police, that's what we need, that kind of vigilance.
Anything suspicious.
So it's just a sign that people are being diligent about the situation and responding to the police with it. And we want that. We want that to continue.
But despite the attempt at getting the public to put their pitchforks down, it had the opposite effect. The dogfight story seemed believable. Multiple people witnessed it, and it seemed almost too strange to have made up. I mean, if Randy really had done it, why would he bring a bloody t-shirt, something that could easily be tested, to the dry cleaners, under his own name? The logical reasons for why Randy couldn't have done this, which I'll get into later in the episode, just kept building, while the number of people who thought the Bevers family was responsible just kept growing. And the sleuths now had this 25-minute press conference video and nothing but time to look at every single frame, any eye movement, switches in tone, and both of the men's gaits.
You know that feeling when you're just bloated and gassy and your gut health is just off? And maybe you've been dealing with it for so long, you don't even know how much better you could feel. That's why I recently started taking Physician's Choice 60 Billion Probiotic. It's one pill that I take every morning. And I love that it's not just one probiotic strain. It's actually 10 different strains, all in one simple daily capsule. It survives stomach acid and it actually gets where it needs to go. Physician's Choice 60 Billion Probiotic is made in the USA with a no questions asked 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to Amazon or physicianschoice.com and use the code PCPodcast10 for 10% off your entire order. PCPodcast10 for 10% off. Best results after a month of use, so invest in your gut. Subscribe and save up to 40% off your order. Also find Physician's Choice at all your favorite retailers.
It's summer in Texas, which means my makeup routine is all but non-existent. There's really no point in the Texas heat to put on a lot of makeup, and that's really not my style anyway. But one thing I still reach for is my Jones Road Beauty Miracle Balm, specifically in the shade Dusty Rose. I love the color. It gives me just a natural flush. It's easy to apply, even on the go, and just really works with my skin. And really the best part about Jones Road Beauty is that all their products are actually good for my skin. Every formula that they create is packed with skin-loving ingredients. I don't have to worry about crazy breakouts. Modern-day makeup that's clean, strategic, and multifunctional for effortless routines. For a limited time, listeners will get a free full-size mascara on their first purchase when they use the code UNFORGOTTEN at checkout. So head on down to jonesroadbeauty.com and use the code UNFORGOTTEN at checkout. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them the Unforgotten sent you.
After the press conference, the Bevers family remained relatively quiet. Appearances here and there, and Brandon had his active bouts on social media, along with some sporadic podcast appearances. The whole family always stood behind Randy anytime they were asked. To them, it was a preposterous idea that he would have anything to do with Missy's death. But in 2022, 6 years after the murder, a member of the Bevers family actually did an interview with none other than the True Crime Broads.
All right. So now we have Christy Stout with us. For those of you who are following the case closely, you know that Christy is Brandon Bevers' sister. And we're just so delighted, Christy, that you're here with us this evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Christy was the relative Randy and his wife were staying with after they found out Missy had died. It was her dog that attacked the Chihuahua. She was there at the center of it all. But before that, before all of this, she was also just Missy's sister-in-law.
She was like having a sister I never had.
She said they were really close when their children were younger. Christy had a son close in age with Missy's middle daughter, so they spent a lot of time together and shared the experience of raising kids.
We'd go have play dates and all that kind of stuff, go to the zoo and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd hang out at my mom's house and just, it was awesome.
But beyond that, they were friends too. Christy still struggles with the loss.
We'd go to concerts and stuff, and, if I had something funny to tell her, I'd call her up and, oh my gosh, I got to tell you this, or whatever. And after she was gone, it took a while, and it still does to this day. If I have a funny experience or embarrassing or something, there's a half a second that I want to call her and tell her.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just a half second that, your brain's like, oh yeah.
Christy told Crystal and Renee that they drifted apart a bit as the years went on. Their kids got older and didn't hang out as much, and Missy started devoting all of her time to fitness.
I regret that I never went to one of her boot camps because she kept trying to get me to go. In fact, the last, 2 weeks before she passed, she sent me a message, wanting to sign me up. And I was like, girl, I cannot get up at 4 something in the morning for nothing.
Right.
I don't know how you do it, Missy, but I can't do it.
She remembers the morning Missy died. She knows her dad didn't do it because she was the one that had to call him and deliver the bad news. Randy and his wife weren't even in the state, actually, and police have confirmed this. Another detail that the internet sleuths who swear up and down that Randy is the killer don't quite have an answer for.
I'm the one that had to call my dad because he was in California, and this happened here, at 5 something in the morning when I found out. I'm trying to call and call and call, and I can't get a hold of him for like 2 hours. I kept trying to call my dad and my stepmom.
Randy and his wife, Vicky, were retired and spent much of the year traveling the country in their RV. They were making their way through California up to Oregon on this trip.
Well, they're in California, so it's 3 something in the morning there.
Right.
And their phones are on mute. They don't keep their ringers on, their cell phones. And when I finally got a hold of them, it was like 7 o'clock here. And Lord have mercy.
Randy and Vicky booked the first flight back to Texas, and we know what happened once they got to Christie's. She says the dogfight was another traumatic moment for everyone that week. Both Vicky and Christy thought of their dogs as parts of the family. and they had never fought before. It was a total shock.
So I didn't know what was going on because I was on the other side of the island in the kitchen. And so I just assumed it was Tank that did something.
Tank is her bull mastiff.
I said, Tank. And when I did that, Yogi, my mutt dog, comes from the living room full speed, runs and grabs Kilo by the neck and just starts tossing him, like yanking him around like a rag doll.
I remember once in high school, my two dogs got into a fight. I wasn't home, but my mom called me in tears, totally devastated that she couldn't stop it sooner. Luckily, in my case, both dogs survived, just a few stitches and everyone was good as new. The Bevers weren't so fortunate.
I'm screaming, freaking out. I can't get her to release this dog. And my dad comes flying in there. He somehow gets Kilo out of Yogi's mouth. The dog just falls flat on the ground, dead. I mean, she like broke his neck or whatever.
Oh, that's horrible.
And she had, it was awful. She, had some puncture wounds from biting into his neck. And my stepmom picks up her dog and holds it. And we're just all like in shock.
Having to witness one of your family's beloved dogs be killed is a pain I can't even fathom. Forget the guilt over one of your dogs having caused it. But for this to happen just days after the family had faced an unimaginable tragedy with the death of Missy, I have immense empathy for all they went through in this time period.
And then a couple of days later, all hell breaks loose.
Here, Christy is referring to the reaction to the press conference her dad and brother held. And the public's reaction was its own tragedy.
So whether we like it or not, it is officially summer, at least in Texas. So that's why I'm really excited. I have a new dress from Quince. It's the European linen fit and flare midi dress. And I just love how light it feels on my skin, the quality of the fabric. It's going to be an easy breezy summer with the linen options at Quince.
And it's not just clothing. Quince has really become a destination for elevated essentials across home, kitchen, bedding, and beyond, making it easy to bring a more premium feel into everyday life.
Another item that I've been loving lately is in the kitchen and dining section. They're the organic cotton gauze napkins, and they literally feel like a baby blanket against your mouth when you're wiping your face at the end of a meal. They are beautiful. They wash well. I don't have to iron them, and they look perfect on our table. I'm in love with these napkins, and I don't care who knows it.
Elevate your summer wardrobe. Go to quince.com/unforgotten for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/unforgotten for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/unforgotten.
Brandon prepped Christy before he decided to call the press conference. Again, here's Christy during an interview she did with Crystal Nornay on the True Crime Broads.
He said, but I'm going to tell you that the media is already on this and it's going to get real ugly. So I'm just warning you. So my dad and my brother were like, well, let's just go ahead and get control of this now before it gets out of hand.
But as we know, their efforts fell on deaf ears.
And, from there, it never got better because that just gave people more stuff to chew on in terms of blame or, cooking up this juicy story that my dad, killed her, whatever, and had this shirt.
Randy was in his mid-60s at the time. Brandon and Christy now had to watch their father, their children's grandfather, be berated online, in the news, his reputation tarnished.
Salt on a wound times 1,000.
Wow.
And you finally get to a point where you're just like, you have to turn away from it all and just not tune into it. Stay off Facebook, stay off social media, because you cannot quieten everybody and, make them believe that your family is innocent.
But Christy knows her dad didn't have anything to do with this.
So when I think, of people saying stuff like, oh, yeah, he did it, I'm like, no, he didn't.
Evidence number 1. He was 1,000 miles from Creekside Church when the murder took place.
I mean, the airlines, they flew American. Don't you think they verified with American Airlines that they were on board? I mean, there's so many
Exactly.
ways to track people for proof.
Oh, there's
So,
cameras everywhere, of course. It's ridiculous.
right.
Crystal and Renee agreed.
And
Not only that,
post 9/11 flying, I mean, there's no way you could sneak anything anywhere on a plane.
Exactly.
right. Not only that, but he seems to me he's too tall.
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad, I don't know how tall he is today because he's got ankylosing spondylitis and his, spine curves, but he's closer to the 6 foot, height. Yeah,
Right.
he's way too tall.
So there's evidence number 2. Remember, Missy's murderer is on camera. The police department released the video on the internet, so anyone can see for themselves what they look like. According to Christy, her dad is way taller than what the police estimate the perp's height to be. Randy is over 6 feet, while police estimate the person in the video to be much shorter, somewhere between 5'2" and 5'8". And evidence number 3.
He's had ankylosing spondylitis, which is basically an autoimmune disease that affects the spine and the hips, but in his case, it's the upper part of the spine and neck since he was a teenager. And, over the years, it's caused his spine to curve so much.
This matters because of the sharp movements the church surveillance cameras show the perp making. Christy says Randy just wouldn't be able to move like that.
His head and neck are just, he can't even turn his head from side to side. He has to turn his whole body.
Wow.
So if he were going to look up like that person did in the video when he realized, oh, I only opened half the door,
Right.
my dad would have to take his whole body and look up, he's not just going to move his head up like, he can't do that.
And police did have the bloody t-shirt that Randy brought into the dry cleaners tested.
The DNA came back that it was indeed canine blood.
Canine blood. What started this crusade against Randy Bevers? Well, it turned out he was telling the truth. He had an alibi for where he was. He, according to Christy, wasn't capable of committing this crime. And the suspicious bloody shirt didn't have any traces of Missy's DNA. Crystal and Renee asked Christy about her personal feelings about the investigation. If it wasn't Randy, then who?
Does your family feel encouraged that this will be solved at some point? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the odds are that this will be solved?
Oh, Lord, that's hard. I'll give my own opinion. The only way I think, honestly, that it'll be solved is it's not going to be the police that solves it. I think it will be just word of mouth. Someone saying something to the right person at the right time. And, then that person coming forward. But I just don't see, the police having anything to do with solving this.
Interesting.
And I don't mean that to sound tacky, but I just don't.
Christy is singing a completely different tune than her brother and father, who didn't have a bad word to say about the MPD. In fact, they emphatically supported them, even when they were in the line of fire. Christy was not as convinced.
I think there's some things that they didn't do that they should have done. I never know what to say and what not to say on these interviews because you never know how it's going to come back and bite you.
Perhaps Brandon's words were echoing in her head now.
I guess the most frustrating part for us is that we don't have the same relationship, with the police that we did early on in the case because you've got different detectives working on it now. And they are very, very, very tight-lipped. They won't discuss anything. Like, you can ask them anything that, it's far off related, and it's very closed. You may not even get an email back. So that's frustrating because we feel like we've been shut out.
But not everyone was shut out.
They talked to my brother. That is it. They'll let him in on little things if they, hear of something. But other than that, it's closed lip.
Christy wasn't just speaking from her own experience. She'd also heard from other people, just like Crystal and Renee had, that the MPD didn't always follow every lead.
There was an incident of a person that came forward on day 2 and tried to talk to them about a family member of theirs that they swore was the person that did this. And whatever officer or detective or whoever she spoke to looked at her and said, well, do you think you can get a confession from him? And when I heard that, I'm thinking, that's your job.
Yeah.
That is your job to get a confession, not hers. So, in other words, you need to get out from behind your desk and you need to at least go pay this person a visit.
Maybe they had their reasons, but to Christy, this seemed like laziness on the part of the police.
It angers me like nothing else to know that that's all they had to do was just go talk to this guy, go pay a visit, just ask a few questions. You don't have to have a warrant for that. They're not searching anything.
Right.
And just, start sniff it out.
She also thinks they spent too much time and resources looking in the obvious directions.
They sat there at first and tied up a lot of time looking at my brother.
Right.
And yeah, they should zero in on the husband in the beginning, but they put all of their efforts into him and then other people in this close circle and never really went on beyond that.
Because of this, Christy has little faith that the MPD is capable of solving this case.
If you don't think outside the box, then you're never going to solve anything. If you've got such a closed tunnel vision scope of investigation, then you're probably not going to solve a case this bizarre and difficult.
Christy then explains to Crystal and Renee that she feels awful that she can't dedicate more time into putting pressure on the police herself.
I've always watched Dateline for years, and, you see so many of those shows where, there's some family members that get on there and they press hard for answers, and they take it way up, but I personally don't have that kind of time where I can just walk in there, and I have a 8-to-5 job Monday through Friday. I don't work from home.
Right.
I'm not able to invest that much time.
This made me profoundly sad. I hate that she, and I'm sure many others in similar circumstances, feel like it's their duty to keep the police accountable. Like if they don't stay on top of things while they're grieving and carrying on with their own lives, their loved ones may never get justice.
It takes aggression and you've got to be hungry and you've got to be willing to fight for it and put fire under them, and you've got to you got to do your homework. So if I didn't work full time, that's what I'd be doing.
The police say they have not ruled anybody out, but they did corroborate Randy's alibi and corroborated his story with the dog. Crystal wishes the police would be more forthcoming about who they're checking off their list, so that people being targeted online can finally get some peace.
I wish they would say that Randy Bevers has been cleared and Courtney Tucker and all these people that have been in the rumor mill that I think are innocent. And I think it's unfortunate that they haven't even stood up and said, hey, listen, these people aren't guilty. Stop harassing them online. But unfortunately, the Midlothian Police Department doesn't do a lot of clearing things up for the public. But the sleuths were working day and night to get to the bottom of this, rewatching every bit of press, looking for any and all clues as to who did this. And Brandon remained their biggest target. And one thing he said during the original press conference, right after he got back home after finding out Missy had been killed, was garnering a lot of attention.
Every day for the last 10 months, she has made it a point to text me at work that she loves me and have a good day, honey.
10 months? Missy and Brandon had been married for 20 years at this point, so this statement seemed odd and revealing.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that something happened 10 months ago.
It turns out, AJ Tucker wasn't the only person Missy had been rumored to be having an affair with. Once Brandon hinted that they were having marital issues,
it just kind of grew legs and went from there.
That's next time on The Unforgotten. Who Killed Missy Bevers? The Unforgotten is a free-range production. Season 6, Who Killed Missy Bevers, is written and hosted by me, Zoe Kulkin. Our executive producer is Wes Ferguson. Audio editing by Aislinn Gaddis. Engineering and sound design by Austin Sisler with Eastside Studios. Get our newsletter at unforgottenpod.com. Thanks for listening.